Hey, Alison. Yay. I'm just waiting for Emma to join us with her video. Why is Emma not able to join? Let's try again. Let's see. Hopefully she can come on now. Let's see. Okay, it looks like she's... What is going on, Instagram? Why is Emma unable to... Oh, Instagram, you're being so strange. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh gosh, it was glitching so badly. It literally came up about 20 times asking for you to join me. I was like, what is going on?
Sorry about that.
No, don't stress. I think it's just Instagram having a post-solstice day. How you doing? You look so radiant. Oh my goodness.
Thank
You look
you.
beautiful.
Thank you. What a morning. How are you doing, Candace?
Yeah, so good. So good. I must say day 4 is feeling very vibrant and happy and blissful, and it's so weird. Everyone's asked me if I'm hungry, and I honestly haven't even given a second thought to food. Like, it's the last thing on my list to want to do. It's the weirdest thing. And it's not through like a lack of wanting to consume. It's just not in my peripheral. Like, it's just not even on my mind, which is bizarre.
Yeah, like I mentioned on our group, I've had, well, I think I mentioned it on my other fasting group.
Yeah.
I've had like whispers of hunger. That's the best way to describe it. No shouting, no loud, nothing loud, just like the odd whisper. And I just, what will probably be good to mention right now, because again, I think it will link in to what we are chatting about today.
Yay.
Is there's a difference between choosing to abstain versus feeling restricted.
Yes. Yes.
And there's power in that. There's something that is very deliberate and intentional. And I know in my videos, even on Tuesday, I mentioned these same words, deliberate and intentional. But I think that is really something we can infuse.
Absolutely.
Regardless. But anyway, I'm just really happy to be here today, and I know we've got a few moments still. I don't know if you want to open our
yes,
absolutely with any intentions.
Well, I mean, we've got 1 minute till we're due to go live, but I think if we can just drop into our heart space and just to really, I'm so grateful today that we have a platform where we can share our hearts and all that resonates deeply within us, and to those that it's also due to resonate with. So I think if we just take a moment just to really drop into our heart space, using this space to be an echo chamber for all that we have traveled on this journey to learn. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I like to always just call on the highest aspects of the highest in terms of guidance, protection, infusing this conversation with the highest level of consciousness and light for the highest good of those who will be watching and who will be receiving our messages.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, let's begin. Whew. It is so exciting. I can feel this absolute bubbling of joy. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we just want to start by welcoming everyone that's joined us on this live, and to all of you that will be watching this on the replay. Thank you for joining us and taking this time to be with us in this sacred container. This is episode number 4, and we're speaking about the emotional aspect of the chamber of vitality and how to support yourself during this ascension period. So we are basically just going to do this as an opening question of how can we support ourselves emotionally during this ascension period, because that is the question that everybody's looking for the answers to. So Emma, I'm going to hand it over to you straight away with that question.
Thank you. I was going to do the same, but I think just by way of introduction, I've been noticing, not just personally, but with people around me, that it's almost as if the opposite of what we're trying to embody. I know that's a word that that has been mentioned often in this aspect. Or in this context, but it is feeling, and it has been for some time, almost as if we're being bombarded with the opposites of what we want to get into and drop into. So the last few years, as all of you know, and have experienced, there's been a lot of fear, there's been a lot of uncertainty, there's even been grief, massive grief. People have left us. So how do we then get into something that doesn't just feel a little bit more comfortable, but that feels like it can support us to raise our vibration? Good to mention that probably in the dimension where we are right now, sort of in the 4D, we are really dealing with a lot of opposites, with a lot of polarities.
Oh yeah.
So don't resist that, don't question that, don't become frustrated with that. I think if we can learn the technique of observing and then choosing to replace it with something that feels easier, that feels lighter, that feels more hopeful. So in that moment of overwhelming fear, you can say, I see you, I notice you, I can see that you are right there, I can feel you, I can experience you. Thank you. Is there any lesson? Is there any message in that? And now how can I replace you? And I like to use intentions. For example, I now choose to replace this fear with love and gratitude. Or I now choose to replace this fear or this guilt or this anger with acceptance. And acceptance doesn't mean that I'm saying it's okay when something has not been just or reasonable. But acceptance just means that I'm going to stop pushing against it and spending so much energy on trying to create something different than just what is. Acceptance means I'm allowing it, but I'm now choosing how I move forward from there. And in the David Hawkins book, Power versus Fear, and you can all go and look at the image, I will post it again. as well. There's the different levels of consciousness that we can just choose to even interpret that in the realm of emotions. When I'm experiencing fear, that vibration is 100. When I'm inviting in or feeling, experiencing joy, even if it's just for a moment, a song, or seeing a child laugh, or seeing an image that feels uplifting, the vibration of joy is 540. So imagine if we can just create that balance every day by inviting in something with a higher vibration and choosing to feel that, even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You're so right, because it's not about suppressing our emotions and the polarity of density. It's about allowing it safe passage through our bodies. But it's not about going, oh, well, this will just now be all consuming. It's about going, okay, I notice you and I see you then. I see you're doing something that serves a purpose, and I'm going to be a neutral observer, a neutral witness, and I'm going to see you doing that. But whilst you're doing that, as polarity is, I can also align to joy or doing some sort of practice that whilst you're doing your thing, I can also do my thing, and I can invite in the polar opposite, because that will ultimately bring you through a lot more comfortably. So I love that. And I mean, it's so easy to find something that raises your vibration in a moment, because it can just be looking in your garden, seeing a beautiful flower, or hearing birds song. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I need to go to a Zumba class right now. You know, it can be the simplest things. And there's something so beautiful about authentic joy, because authentic joy that's not forced is something that rises up through you, and it makes you feel incredibly safe. And that authentic joy for just one moment feels like it could last for a lifetime. So I love that, Emma. I absolutely love that share. It's beautiful. Really.
How do you feel? Because sometimes it's also about how do we integrate that, you know, so it doesn't feel like it's just there on the outside of us.
Yeah.
Are there any tools or techniques that you can recommend of how we can now feel that into the body so that it gets into the cells, so it gets into our being?
So, I mean, obviously, it's incredibly important not to suppress your emotions. But when we are in a state of overwhelm, we often don't know what to do in that moment. So I know for me personally, when I am feeling in that space of overwhelm, of density, of all these feelings coming up, the greatest thing that I do to allow for that movement of the emotions, a safe passage through me, is generally breath work. So I will take a really big, deep breath, and I will just breathe through it. And I know that that sounds like, really? Is that going to help? But ultimately, when you drop into your body, you then are able to connect with the emotion at the emotional level in your body. And it's about going, okay, not judging with your linear mind, not analyzing, not going, why are you there? What are you trying to teach me? It's literally about coming into your body and going, okay, what does this feel like when I'm in a state of anger right now? Oh my goodness, it is firing up in my belly right now. Okay, what does that feel like? Okay, it started off small. Now it's getting bigger. Oh, now it feels like it's shifted into 2 or 3 places. And just observing what it does. Because when you do that, and you meet your emotions with your divinity by dropping into your body with your breath work, you're allowing your light to meet the density. And when you do that, there's the 0 point that happens and it discharges. But you have to be so present with your emotions. You have to breathe into your body and get in there. And again, it's not about judging what's going on. It's about going, okay, what does it feel like? So very often we want to analyze, we want to get into our linear brain, we want to judge, we want to shame, we want to berate. It's about feeling. Okay, even for the good emotions, it's beautiful, because the minute that we drop into our bodies and we amplify the good emotions like joy and love, oh my goodness me, what does joy feel like in my body? Oh my, all my cells are vibrating. What does love feel like? Oh my gosh, my heart's going to jump out of my chest. We're amplifying that as an echo chamber into the collective, and our ripple becomes so huge. And it's the same with feeling our dense emotions. When we discharge it, we allow more space in our body for our divinity and our light to expand into those spaces. And even if it's not specifically a practice for discharging and alchemizing emotions, breath work is a beautiful way to just rebalance your nervous system and just to feel safe again in your body. So there are a lot of beautiful breathwork practices specifically for that. And I'll pop a couple of links after this video when I do the post. But it's just about connecting with your body. Ascension happens to you through your physical body. So the more time that we can spend within our physical body, not judging, not berating, not going into the mind and analyzing everything, just feeling, the more connected you're going to be. And on all levels, then intuitively, you're going to be able to know what your body needs for all aspects of life. So that's one thing that I absolutely love to do. What would your suggestions be, Emma?
Yeah, I think the breath work is probably one of the easiest and simplest ways. And like you mentioned, so either to integrate or to discharge. Yeah. And in the previous video or recording, I mentioned, you know, in terms of thoughts and overthinking, discharging, like imagining you exhaling that into the earth. Yeah. And the same applies for heavy or difficult emotions. Yeah. And when we're in that state of overwhelm or anger or fear or even guilt or shame, like feel it. Where am I feeling it? Is it sitting in my belly? Is it sitting in my heart, in my throat? Is it sitting in my head? Or is it even sitting in my sort of hips or knees? And you can then, on the out breath, imagine that you're exhaling that into the earth to be held and supported. And already that starts to feel different. I'm not alone with this. I don't have to, you know, be alone here. And then on the in breath, imagine I'm breathing in love for myself. I'm breathing in compassion for myself in this moment where I'm feeling something that that feels so destructive. But that's part of our human experience. It's not as if this idea of ascension and enlightenment is about, now I'm never going to feel anything difficult or triggering again. It's very much about saying, I know it's going to happen, but what do I do with it? How do I discharge or dilute it? And perhaps a phrase that was used recently when I was on a silent retreat at the BRC with Sue Cooper, that for me was like the takeaway of the whole weekend is, can you meet your brokenness with brilliance?
Beautiful.
So can you, in that moment when you're feeling completely devastated and broken, also notice your brilliance and your light and your power? And there are these two opposites right next to each other in the same heart, in the same body, but it's not the one or the other. Yeah. We can meet the one. We can say, I can meet your brokenness with your brilliance, and that can be a phrase perhaps to practice.
Absolutely. I mean, I think as well is that it's about knowing that it's an ongoing thing. You know, in order to master being masterful, you have to spend time with it. So I remember the first time introducing my own body to alchemy, I was like, nothing's happening. Why do I not feel any different? Because you've really got to practice getting out of the mind, because the mind is always going to chatter. And it's not about silencing the mind. It's about going, okay, you want to have your conversation. I'm going to allow you the space to do so. But I am going to drop in away from that. And I'm going to drop into my heart, and I'm going to drop deep into my body, where you can carry on doing what you need to do, and I'm going to allow you the space to do that, but I'm not going to participate in a conversation with you right now. Right now, my attention is on my body and my feelings and what I'm going through. And it takes practice. And of course, I mean, our ego, our monkey mind is always going to try whatever it can to distract us from doing this practice, because ultimately that is the agenda of the Dark Lords. They don't want us to embody our divinity. They don't want us to alchemize, because the more that we do that, the more we radiate our light and the more that we ripple out into the collective. But just that alone is so important, because if one person is raising their vibration from that 100 to that 540, you are emanating out and raising the vibration of 10,000 people. And that's just one person taking one moment in time to go, okay, I'm fearful right now, but let me drop into my body. Let me meet it where it's at within my body and allow and feel and discharge. You're doing that for so many people without even consciously going, oh, look at me, I'm affecting change. I mean, that is so beautiful. That is so, so, so beautiful. Because, you know, I always think about how, you know, if you imagined the world in pitch darkness and all of a sudden there were these miniature globes coming online. Like when we are doing this level of work, even if it's just for 1 minute a day, you are allowing other light bulbs to come online. And not only are you serving yourself, but you're serving humanity. And that is an incredible gift. And you don't even know that you're necessarily doing that, you know? So I would so encourage people to, sure, just connect with their body. And I mean, there's some very simple breathwork practices. I'll share just two very quick ones that I love to do. And the one is very much about feeling the air coming into my nose. So when I take a deep breath in, feeling what it feels like to have that air come into my nose, where it's slightly warm and then it gets slightly cold, and then dropping that down into my throat, into my chest, and being so consciously aware of the air coming in and coming down and going out. Another one that is really, really easy to do is using your fingers, a set of 20. You know, your first breath is a long inhale and exhale, and then your next 4 are short. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and then back to the long. Because that is a beautiful pattern of just getting you into your body. It doesn't have to look like 20 sets of Wim Hof and 5 sets of this and breath of fire. I mean, I love those practices and I do them, but it doesn't have to be like that. You can just practice really connecting with the air around you, because ultimately when you do that, we are held in divinity. The breath around us is the air around us is not just air, it's ether, it's spiritual, it's high frequency. So when you're breathing that into your body, you're breathing in divinity to meet your divinity. What a beautiful, beautiful gift to yourself. So yeah, what sort of things do you do, Emma? I'd love to hear.
So I thought I would just mention, because I was reminded now of, you know, where does this emotional chamber sit in relation to the others?
Yes.
And the important thing to understand or to acknowledge is that everything is connected. So when we first discussed the physical aspect of what we eat, you know, our minerals, our water, our nourishment, you know, will create an easier or a more optimal space for our thoughts, but it will also create a more optimal space for our emotions. Because if we're going to be living with a lot of fast processed foods, a lot of sugar, a lot of grains, a lot of sort of dense foods, but with no nourishment, it would be very difficult to now really feel joy. Yeah. Because the vibration of those foods or that water, or if you're not sleeping, you know, will all create a completely different sense. The same with the thoughts. So for me, it's like these things are all linked. We can't do the one without the other. But for me, and I am still learning and I'm still practicing, but I love a ritual. I love to dedicate a space at the time when I'm feeling really challenged. So lighting a candle, having a glass of water with minerals, like noticing, I notice right now my body actually needs the support. How can I create a space where I can sit with this so that I can discharge or alchemize? I mean, that's a beautiful word. Sometimes I'll light a candle, light the incense, drink the water, and I'll sit with a pack of oracle cards.
Yeah.
And I'll just call in on guidance and say, right now, I just need some guidance on this. And I'll get a message. And that message might just be one way for me to understand the layers of this particular emotion.
Yeah. No, I love that, because ultimately I would obviously really encourage our listeners to, once we're done with the whole series, to really look at all the chambers of vitality, because it's in a beautiful sphere, and go, okay, I don't have capacity to uproot and change my entire life, but I'm going to sit and I'm going to look at the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, and go, what practice resonates with me that I can take from each chamber? Because I know that they interlink, because I know that they are spherical in the cycle of supporting each other. And how can I implement that into my life? Because it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, you know. And what you were saying about doing a ritual, it's so important for us to remember to honor ourselves, because we are doing such an amazing job. We have never done this before. We have never had attention through the physical body. That is huge. So to have ceremony for ourselves, to have rituals for ourselves, to honor ourselves, and to treat everything as just a sacred honoring of ourselves is such a beautiful way to go, wow, this is not just breath work and me feeling my feelings. This is huge. This is massive. And I'm going to do what I need to do to make myself feel so loved in this ceremony. And there's nothing better than having a bath with Epsom salts and crystals and candles and just going, oh, I'm sacred. Because we don't always believe that we are. We don't believe that we're gods and goddesses, and that we're doing something that has never been done before. I mean, we don't give ourselves nearly enough praise. And it's not ego praise. It's, wow, look, wow. It's just a wowness. And I would really encourage, even if that's the only thing to do, just to really look at yourselves and go, no one's ever done this before, but look at me. Here I am, giving it a bash. And some days it will look a lot prettier than others, but I'm still here doing it. And that is an achievement all on its own. It's just so amazing. It really is incredible.
Absolutely. And I was also thinking, you know, sometimes it's just the willingness to show up.
Yeah.
You know, when you least want to be seen, when you least want to be out there doing life, you can just affirm in the morning when you wake up, doing your breath, doing your grounding. I'm willing to face this day with courage and with love for my, you know, and really having deep compassion sometimes for your own suffering, not meaning that you are saying, you know, it's all about suffering, but there are people who really have to overcome a lot. Yeah. You know, there's been just lifetimes, and in this lifetime, a lot of trauma to overcome. So it's a long way before they can feel that joy. But if you're just saying, I'm willing to show up courageously for this day, already that brings a sense of power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what we do also need to remember is we are the last generation in our lineage doing this. So we are doing this for our ancestors. I mean, that is a long line of people, of beings that have not been able to shed their trauma or show up for themselves. So we literally have the weight of many worlds on our shoulders. So when we are feeling overwhelmed, to just remember that I'm not just doing this for me. I was chosen as a front runner to come into this ascension period and do it for my entire lineage. And when we do master it, when we do alchemize trauma, whatever that might be, you're doing it for an entire lineage of beings that weren't able to. That is a massive, massive achievement. And to not be so hard on yourself, because there are days that are going to be challenging, and that's okay. But one of the easiest ways when you're in that space is just to stop and find something you're grateful for. Because even in that moment when you're overwhelmed, it can be as simple as, I'm grateful that I can feel the wind on my skin right now. I'm grateful that I can feel the sun warming me up. I'm grateful that I have whatever, whatever, whatever. And to keep going with that gratitude until you're at a point where you can breathe, because gratitude has the most incredible way of attracting abundance. And that can be an abundance of peace, it can be an abundance of money, it can be an abundance of joy. But the minute you get into gratitude, you're already starting the process of getting out of overwhelm. So that's also a lovely practice to do as well.
Absolutely. And to practice that, I mean, I find sometimes as I'm driving somewhere, I'll just have a conversation and I'll just say the words. Right now, I'm inviting in hope, abundance. I'm willing to receive the blessings. And, you know, as you're saying that, your body starts to feel very different. And it really changes the way the day turns out. I mean, I practice it over and over again, especially when I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a really, really big mountain to climb. But okay, let me just bring in something that feels easier. And straight away, it's like that starts to, you know, it's like those speakers that stand on the, you know, the big speakers on poles and stadiums and whatever. I always think like even a whisper into that speaker sends out that message, and then it comes back.
Powerful. Our ripple is so powerful, and we need to own it. We need to know that we're powerful beings. It's not about going, oh, look at me, I'm so great. It's about, wow, I came here to do this, and I'm allowed to share my ripple out into the world to make it a better place. And it does. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And sharing your gifts and what you've learned with other people is a blessing. And when you've mastered your deepest pain, that is a gift to share with people that are still there. You know, to say, I've done it and you can too. You know, it is attainable. It is going to be okay, you know, from a very deep knowing, because I've been there, you know. And that's such a beautiful gift to give to humanity. Emma, is there anything else you want to share?
Very quick, and it's not an instruction or anything, but when you were talking about gratitude, I was just being reminded of how powerful it is for me when I say thank you. You know, when I've had somebody send a message to book an appointment, I say thank you for this person who is ready to receive the guidance. If somebody sends a message to thank me for something, if I see a beautiful sunrise, that thank you, that gratitude is such a powerful thing. Like you said, it invites in something that feels very abundant and open to receiving. So sometimes even just saying thank you can change something in that moment.
Sometimes you don't have the words. So that's beautiful, to just remember thank you. You might not really know in that moment what you're really thankful for, but just to know that there is already so much that there is to be thankful for makes it okay to just say thank you. You know, that's beautiful. Well, I'm really, really looking forward to our last episode in the series. It's gone so quickly, which will be on Tuesday, which I think is the 26th of June, again at 9. We're very consistent. And we are going to be speaking about the spiritual chamber of vitality and how it all eventually ties into this beautiful circle of vitality. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us on our beautiful sacred conversation. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday for our last episode in this series. Lots of exciting things behind the scenes coming up very soon for you guys. So we're so excited to bring that to you very soon. And otherwise, I hope that you have the most beautiful day and be blessed. And thank you, Emma.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. If you want to comment once we post the recording about your experience, if you want to ask any questions, if you want to mention if there's any particular guidance that you're looking for, I would like to develop or I would like to offer in the next few months a very constructive course and group support as soul guidance for us as we, you know, we've just had our solstice, we've just had a new moon, and we're building up now to the Lion's Gate, the 8th of the 8th, which is my absolute favorite celebration of the year. It feels like such a powerful astrological and energetic occurrence. So after that, I'd like to be offering something. So let us know where you feel you can benefit from some support, and we can work around that.
That is so exciting, Emma. And we will be back on Tuesday, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.